Welcome to Everything But the Kitchen Dink, the podcast where we discuss all things pickleball with your hosts, Rob and Andy.
Welcome back to Everything But the Kitchen Dink.
Welcome back, Robert. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in again. Why
is it every time
God.
we start this, I sneeze? It's like your cue to get into things.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I think my allergies are quite bad at the moment.
You know what? Mine are terrible.
Really
terrible.
Yeah. I don't know
Since
what
I've come back from holiday, I'm constantly blowing my nose the other day.
Yeah.
Then I realised I ran out of antihistamines that you told me to take. So
I'm still taking them, but I'm still finding I'm struggling with.
You sound very nasally. People keep saying to me, "Have you got a cold?"
No, I haven't.
No, they're not saying to me, "Have you got a cold?" They're saying to me, "Have I got a cold?"
Fair enough. Get it out of the way, son. Get it out of the way.
Welcome to the coughing sniffing hour with Rob and Andy.
So a recap on our last podcast with Lee Whitwell.
I just love having her on, and we'll have her on again as well. She's just amazing.
It was
She's
great.
so insightful. There's so much information. If you haven't listened to it, it's just so informative, and good and bad. And
well, she, as you say, she is informative, and she's. I feel like she's our finger on the pulse over there as well, because she knows a lot that's going on.
Yeah, she's one of those rare guests who's got a foot in the UK camp
and the USA camp. Yeah.
So it's really good.
It's really
well,
good
there was a couple of things that she came up with that I was really interested. This sort of stuck in my mind.
Which was?
She talked about the power paddles, and we're not actually doing a paddle review later. We've actually got 4 paddles that we're just going to discuss, and we'll review them at a later date.
Well, I feel like
one of them is the Gen 3. Is a Gen 3 paddle.
You've now mentioned power paddles. I feel like I'm going to have to talk.
Well, you can show because, what we've got coming up.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing you this now. It's the it's the Gearbox Power Pro, which I've actually been wanting to get my hands on for such a long time. I eventually got one last week, and I now understand.
Well.
Let's talk about it because
okay. I played with it briefly. I also played against somebody who had it.
Yeah, so I played with it a few times, and I don't know how this thing's legal.
It plays like the Vice. If you've ever used the Diadem Vice, which is not a legal paddle and never was, it wasn't pretending to be a legal paddle. It does play like that.
So just hitting with this, the ball. It's a very muted sound. It's straight away that somebody's using one of these because it's a completely different sound to a normal pickleball paddle. The ball just sort of flies off it. They have this SST core, which I've not really looked into it properly, but maybe we'll get someone on from Gearbox to explain that. But the ball literally just flies off the paddle. You don't have to put any effort in whatsoever. In fact, if you swing,
the serves particularly, facing a serve is really difficult.
And any serves, if you swing like you normally swing, you're going to hit this ball out. It takes a lot to control it. But once you get the hang of this paddle, as I say, I don't know how it's legal because.
Well, let's just when you say once you get the hang, the person who's used that, has sold it to you. So obviously they didn't get the hang of it.
Well, no, to be fair, they're sponsored by Gearbox and they have other paddles. So
right,
that's not the reason. They're still using Gearbox, but the actual problem with this paddle that I've found so far, I don't know if I'm going to carry on using it, but I just struggled. I struggled with my softer game, and I'm sure that the more you use it and the more you understand the paddle, because I think there is an understanding with this paddle on how to use it.
So you have to change your game more with this paddle, and ideally,
yes,
when you get a new paddle, you want it to be seamless, don't you?
You do,
but this is for something where you're looking for something different, and you're going to get something different.
It's completely different.
And I used it very briefly, not enough to figure out if it's good or bad for me.
Actually, you didn't use this paddle. You used the Ultimate, which is actually the new Gearbox paddle. Now, the Ultimate is a bit thicker than this. It's 16 millimeters, so it's a control and power. So this is the Power Pro version. The Ultimate's the new one they just brought out, which is the one you used.
Okay.
To be honest with you...
So this is going to be harder to use regardless of it being a Gen 3.
But I found that I use them both, and I found that they both play very much the same. Maybe this one's got slightly more power, but as I say, if you're a beginner or even intermediate in the game of pickleball, this paddle's not for you. Yes, it is for you if you want to gain a bit more power, but to control the thing is very, very, very difficult. And if you're not...
It's hard to control the thing for me with any paddle.
Yeah. If you're not a control player and you're not an experienced player, then you're going to struggle with this paddle. But
well, I'm going to use it later.
You're going to use it, so we'll talk about it again. But so far,
and you'll use it more, and we'll give it a proper review at some point.
I mean, I just love the sound of it. I love the way it feels.
Well, you're always looking for something on your serve, aren't you?
I'm looking for something
like recently, we've been trying a new serve. We mentioned that we talked about. We found out in America like a spin serve. So we're always trying to get that little bit extra, and this certainly gives you that on your serve.
It does, but what I found was that I was hitting a lot more out with my serve.
Right.
If you catch it in the wrong place with this paddle, it just literally launches off the paddle.
Yeah, it's the paddle. It's the paddle's fault.
It is in this case. So that's the Gearbox Pro Power. So have a look at that. We'll give you more info on it very, very soon.
So what I was saying about Lee, stop sneezing.
Sorry, I'm sneezing my head off now.
Is that she mentioned, if you remember, that the power, it's fine for the pro game, but when you're in rec play, and we've got a mixture of ages when we play rec play, and nobody really dampens it down, do they? If they've got a smash, then they smash.
Oh, yeah.
And these power paddles in rec play, if you've got different skill levels, can be quite dangerous.
I actually scared myself. I did a smash with this paddle the other day, and it was like, I mean, if you want to finish a shot, this is the paddle to finish a shot.
Yeah.
You're not getting it back. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't generate power. That's why I wanted to use this paddle. And it is effortless. Now, I've been struggling quite a lot recently with my elbow. I've not really told you about this, but I use a Selkirk Power Air, and it's like playing with a plank of wood. I absolutely love that paddle.
Yeah.
But there's no dampening on the paddle. There's no sort of cushion because it's very thin.
But do you have a grip on it?
What do you mean? Grip. Your turn to cough.
Do you have an over grip, because that dampens it?
No, but
so why don't you try with an over
because
grip?
I don't like a thick grip on my paddle, so that doesn't help me. But what I'm saying is basically when I use a more cushioned paddle, a 16mm paddle, my elbow doesn't hurt as much.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I've had a few aches and pains, not terrible, but I put it down to trying different paddles all the time.
Yeah.
So
I just notice it now when I use the Power Air that
but
my
you've
elbow
used that
hurts
for such a long time. Surely, if it was the paddle,
well,
you would have had that problem a while ago.
Well, not necessarily, because it can develop over time.
Right,
but I do notice it more when I use that paddle.
So what are you going to do?
Well, I've got some new paddles to try.
Okay. But generally, you always go back to that.
I do, because I love that paddle.
Maybe you've used it so much, it gets to a point where, there is wear on a paddle, and maybe it's coming to the end of its life.
I don't think that's going to change the way it hits. I mean, the paddle is very, it's a solid
it might not
hit.
change the way it hits, but maybe it had a dampening effect.
No, not this paddle. It doesn't. It's not cushioned at all. It's literally like a plank of wood.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
So well, that opened up a whole discussion.
Yeah, it did.
But we'll report back on that. But it was also interesting when we've heard this a lot now with the problems. We think pickleball in America is heaven, and it's the place to be. But from a professional level, they are having a lot of problems, and a lot seem to think that it's going to cause problems for pickleball and the growth of pickleball. But it was also interesting when she talked about paddle, and we're going to get onto that later, because it seems to be coming up. Somebody said to me this week, "Oh, I think you chose the wrong sport."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
Yeah, that would really annoy me.
So
that would really annoy me. But I understand why they said that.
Yeah, so I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts on this as well.
Yeah.
And if anybody's got any questions for Lee, then fire them over to us. And we will get her back on again, because she's so helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's move on to that with the you discussed that there was a paddle centre opening in the centre of Manchester, but this week we've actually found that a local place to us
Yes.
is opening. Was it 7 paddle courts?
No, I think it's 4 paddle on 2 pickleball courts.
Right. Okay.
But the paddle ones are being covered.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And we don't know about the pickleball.
We don't know about the pickleball.
But I can only imagine that they're not being covered, which will render them pretty much useless.
Well, for most of the year, yeah. Which is frustrating.
No, it is great that there will be 2. They have thought about pickleball.
Yeah, because pickleball and paddle, they're not the same, but they are the same. It's, people going to play on a smaller court with a racket sport.
Lee mentioned that we should be hand in hand with paddle, but it isn't like that. And paddle we are still seen here as the poor relation to paddle, let alone tennis.
Why is that? Why is paddle taking over?
Because I think that, well, first of all, these courts that are opening, 10 minutes away from us?
Yeah.
They are something to do. They are being run by the people who opened the Central Manchester paddle a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Okay. Now, I've done a bit of digging, and it also turns out that the LTA are involved.
Right. Okay.
Now, this opens a whole other argument, and we will be having Karen on next week.
Yeah.
And I will discuss this with Karen. But I'm just going to throw this out there, and people are not going to like this, but is the LTA, we're sort of all aghast at, when it broke, that they wanted to take control.
I know what you're going to say. Is it better that they take control?
Is it such a bad thing? And I'm not saying let's get rid of Pickleball England. We love Pickleball England. That we wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah.
But is it, if paddle is being driven by the LTA, initially, the first thing we heard was that the LTA is the Lawn Tennis Association, if you don't know what that is, and they're trying to take over pickleball. And the first reaction was, well, it's done nothing for paddle. But when I read that a local centre is going to be installing and the LTA are involved, it's sort of like, I want to cry.
Well, yeah, I understand what
you're saying. So I want to ask the question, and I want to ask
what
Karen.
You're saying is you want the growth of pickleball to happen faster, and you think that the LTA would make that happen faster.
I know paddle's been around for a lot longer.
I understand.
However, I do think we are at the same level as paddle, and we are growing very fast.
Well, that's interesting, because I don't know how many pickleball players there are in the UK. The last I heard, about 10,000?
Well, we'll get an update on that.
But the amount of paddle players in the UK is 90,000.
No one knows. No one knows. I'm sorry. I hear anything from 90,000 to 250,000.
Yeah, I don't know if the
I heard the number 250,000 this week. So nobody knows, and it's probably harder to know in paddle, because at least we've got Pickleball England and they've got registrations, and we can assume that maybe double the number don't register. But does paddle have anything?
I think the fact is that we want the growth to happen so quickly, and we want it to be the number one racket sport, especially in the UK, that we want it to happen fast. And I think your point is, if the LTA are the way forward, then
I'm talking about LTA in conjunction with pickleball.
Yeah,
whether or not they would want that, and again, we'll ask Karen this next week.
I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Am I alone here? And I'm not
You're
saying
always alone.
I'm not saying that is definitely the way forward. I'm just throwing it out there. And does anybody else think that the LTA involvement might actually help us?
Also, does anybody think that paddle is going to see the end of pickleball in this country?
I don't think it's going to see the end of pickleball. Pickleball is strong and it's growing fast. However, I do feel at the moment space is limited, and if places are putting in paddle, that goes against pickleball. I feel like our growth is being stunted. I feel like it's looked down upon.
I think be patient. Look at the English Open and how many people.
I know.
It's incredible, and I think everyone wants the same thing for pickleball in this country, and I think we just have to be patient. And I know it is coming. It is coming. It's just going to take a bit more time.
I'd like to hear if anybody else feels the same way, and I don't mean this. I'm not being controversial just for the sake of it.
That's your job to be controversial.
I want to say the things that, maybe somebody out there says, you know what, I've thought about that as well. And, I just want to see both sides of it. And ultimately, I guess it's a selfish thing because, I want pickleball centres. And if the LTA can help that.
Also, if you've got any questions that you want us to put forward to Karen about this topic, send them in, because we will be interviewing Karen from Pickleball England next week. So, send your questions in to us and we'll get them onto her. Absolutely.
So, all right. So we are progressing in some ways. We just had the North West Festival, the North West Pickleball Festival, which is one of the premium festivals out there. It sells out. It's like Oasis tickets.
It is. It sells out instantly.
Everybody's online at 9:00. When it's ready, and
then you're on a waiting list, basically.
Yeah.
Because you can't. It's very difficult to get tickets. But it's an absolutely fantastic weekend. We've just come back from it. I did the 3 days actually. I actually said that I was just going to do. Basically, it's over a weekend. It's a Friday night. There's a Saturday all day. Then there's a social evening on the Saturday night, and then Sunday again all day.
Yeah, we've become antisocial though. We didn't do the social.
We didn't this time. And I actually said I'm not going to do the Sunday because playing Friday night and then all day Saturday, it's just too much on the body.
I was aching for a couple of days,
but I ended up doing the whole weekend.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, I had a fantastic weekend. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
There was the pickleball shop was there. You could try paddles. There was.
And you tried.
Oh, I tried.
And you bought.
Oh, I tried. There was basically you put your name in now for the sort of category you play at.
It has changed, and it's changed for the better.
Duper, basically.
They've obviously listened to my moaning.
Yeah, so
because it has changed.
If you're a 4.0 plus, you'll be a red. If you're a 3.5, you'll be a blue. That kind of thing. And then it gives you better games because then you're playing with people of the same level, which was great. Also, we got to play together quite a bit this time, which was
we did.
Also
the
nice.
Attitude, as I've mentioned in the past, the attitude has always been that they've not encouraged partnerships to play together, and it was total opposite this time. So it was really good. We played loads of games together.
The idea of a festival is that you go and play with different people.
Yeah, and you do play with different people.
But it is nice to play with your partner against different people.
There was a much more relaxed attitude. And if you've done a festival in the past and decided that you're not doing it again for that reason, it's changed now.
Yeah.
And it's changing. So come back. And it was good. I really enjoyed it.
But you did notice something, didn't you, about the demographics there?
It wasn't all good. And that's not the festival's fault. I still am in the mind of was there 8 courts there? Yeah, there were 8 courts.
Yeah.
Why not put a mini tournament on? We're 3 weeks away from the Nationals. It would have been great.
That's not what it is. It's a festival.
No, I realise that.
But also, can I just say that they had clinics there as well?
Yeah, they did.
With some coaches, which was great.
And you did a clinic.
I did a clinic as well, which was really nice.
I didn't want to do it because
you're perfect.
You're my clinic. No, I'm beyond help.
But yeah, they had these clinics, which were great. So overall, it was a great festival, and the social side of it is brilliant as well.
And this is what people don't see when people who don't even play paddle or pickleball, but they pick up a newspaper and paddles in there or a new centre's opening, they don't realise pickleball is very unique in that respect. And the social side is amazing. It's great for mental health.
Yeah.
And you just cannot replicate that. I don't think you get that in any other sport. You might get, in a team sport, you've got your teammates, but this is just so unique and I love it. I really love it.
Absolutely. It's so nice. And you're seeing people that you don't see regularly, but you know them because you've seen them at other events.
Yeah. And
just great to catch
some
up
people
with them.
you even look forward to seeing there.
Yeah.
Is that one coming? Is that one coming?
Yeah.
So it's great from that point of view. It's just that, and it's not the festival's fault. I just wish we had this conversation last week saying that, there are no tournaments. I'm looking on the Pickleball England tournament calendar.
Yeah.
And there's nothing north of the Midlands.
No, everything's down south.
And there are so many players in the north. And again, we'll be asking Karen this, but it's just, that's why I say, instead of having a festival, let's have a tournament. But the festival is important for people, for the growth. I understand that. However, this festival is what 4 or 5 years old now.
Year 6.
Year 6, wow.
Yeah.
And the demographic, to me, it was disappointing.
You know how I know that?
No.
Because it says 6th year on the T-shirts that we got.
Right. I've got a bit of phobia for these these event T-shirts because
they don't fit you.
They're not good for your self-esteem. So it's still in the packet.
Also, it's great.
Did yours
to see.
fit?
I've not tried it on. It's still in the packet,
you've got the same issues then.
No, I just haven't got it out yet. But it was great to see a lot of Scottish players over there as well.
I don't know what they're feeding them in Scotland, but they have got some great players.
Really good. It's the Scottish, as we speak, it's the Scottish Open at the moment.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So I know a lot of
Unfortunately, we couldn't be there.
We couldn't make it, but a lot of people have gone to that. But the standard and the play quality in Scotland is really incredible. Really,
I don't know what it is.
They're blessed with a lot of talented players.
And I don't think they have any facilities there either.
No, I don't think they do. Not indoor facilities at the moment.
But yeah, whatever you're doing in Scotland, keep doing it. It must be the Iron Brew.
Yeah.
Which I love, by the way. So just going back to the demographics, I was looking around, and in the 6th year, it was disappointing for me that there's barely any youngsters there. There's a smattering, like a handful, really. Yeah. There's no sort of 20-somethings. There's not. It doesn't seem to be.
And do you think, I'm going back to it now, do you think that that's because all the youngsters are playing paddle because it's seen as a trendy sport?
Possibly. However, paddle is not that accessible.
No, it's not. And as
if we wanted to play in the same time period we've been playing pickleball, we would have had to drive an hour.
Not now to play.
No, but in the previous.
Yeah, but now these centres are opening everywhere. Yeah. I mean, David Lloyd have paddle. There's a place opening in Manchester, the indoor place. So it is accessible.
Yeah. However,
although it is limited to 6 courts, so if it is that busy, you're going to struggle getting a court a lot of the time.
You don't. At least we know when people play pickleball for the first time, they love it. They fall in love with it. It becomes addictive. So we're not. Maybe we're just not getting people to even try it. When I see on the socials and I see a new club opening or there's a session or a festival around the country, the first thing I do is I look at the demographic of the ages of the people on the pictures, because they always take a group picture. And generally, there's very few. Sometimes there's maybe a 12, 13 or 14-year-old.
I feel like
there's nothing in between it, and then it goes up to your 50 plus 60, 70.
I feel like down south there are a lot more youngsters playing pickleball than there are in the north. Whenever you go to a tournament, you notice that the younger players, are all from the south. You don't see many from the north playing there. I don't know that many. I know a few that play in the north here, but most of them, and generally the top players of the young top players, come from the south. And I don't know why that is.
I wonder if they just don't want to play with 50 pluses. I don't know, or it's not seen as cool. And yes, I do have to be patient as well. It was just an observation that 6 years down the line, it tends to be. I mean, we're going back every year. It tends to be a similar age demographic, and that was disappointing to me.
I have to tell you that paddle is cool. It's trendy. And it's on trend, and it makes a difference, and people want to play that because it's cool. When you mention pickleball, it still has that stigma of being an old person's sport, I think, which is a shame, because obviously there are loads of youngsters coming into it in the States more so than here. Yeah. I mean, you go to America, we saw it, we played on courts.
Well, the people our age, not being pushed out, but they are, like Lee said, that she's the MLP, and if you don't know what MVP means, as you didn't realise, it's most valuable player. So she was basically the best player in the whole of the MLP, and yet she still gets pushed out because younger people are coming in.
Yeah, which is good in a way.
It's great.
So
not great that she lost out,
obviously,
but it's great that these youngsters. Well, there's a flow.
We're at least 5 years behind America, and I think we will get there. It's just going to be a slow burner, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the other thing was that, yes, it was all categorised, but there was plenty of time. There weren't enough 4.0 plus players there, which, again, it's disappointing that after all this time, we still don't have enough top quality players. Just some observations. And again, it's my problem because I've got to be patient. But you know, I'm 52. How much time have I got left?
Not long.
Before one of us twists our knee.
I think that the key is for pickleball, which will happen very soon, are these centres being built, because that gives access to other people to come and play. At the moment, you know, I still get calls regular basis. You know, I've seen pickleball, I'd like to come and play it. Well, I'm struggling where to send these people a lot of the time because of the court availability.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because obviously all day, every day, I think about pickleball. And when people say these things to me, I would love to say to them, you know what, come along. Just come along for one session. And I know they would love it.
Yeah.
People in my office, I would love to say, you know what, come tonight.
Yeah.
And I would pester them enough that they would come. But we don't have the space.
We don't have enough nights.
No,
either.
We don't have the time.
We struggle. No.
You know, we want to go, because our time is limited. Correct. We want to go and concentrate on us.
Correct.
And
that's where the facilities come in.
Yeah.
Because then people can.
I think there will be an explosion.
Because once you've got a facility, you've got beginner sessions, you've got advanced sessions, you've got team you know, you've got everything there.
Yeah.
It makes it accessible, and we're crying out for it now.
God, it's a really depressing episode.
God,
this one, isn't it?
Sorry for ranting on.
But I'm just passionate, and I want it, and I want it now. I don't want to wait 5 years.
I know. Be patient, my friend. It will
difficult.
happen soon. But also, I'd like to mention something else.
Yeah.
I have spoken to this guy before. Terry. Yeah. What a great guy. And he's a great ambassador for wheelchair pickleball.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is an absolute legend. I had a great chat with him. He was cracking some one-liners. I was in stitches.
Yeah, he's got great personality. He's really good for pickleball, and he's a pioneer of wheelchair pickleball. And I just wanted to say that, look, if you know anybody who's in a wheelchair, or you're in a wheelchair yourself, contact us, because we'll put you in touch. And there is a league going on, and there is a tournament. And although the English Nationals,
and it doesn't matter what area you're in either, because you know, we can organise things.
Well, also the English Nationals is for English nationals. However, he's Scottish, and he will be there. There is a tournament, so if you know anybody who would be interested, even if they've never played pickleball, and you can get them to the nationals in Bolton.
I mean, we're ambassadors for it. We encourage it. We want people to play the sport. You know, any age, any disability. You know, we want people to play. So, I mean, Terry is fantastic, and he's really passionate about it. And
I don't know if you had the experience of playing with him.
I didn't actually,
him, but I did.
Right. Okay.
So,
is it different when you play? Like, is there different rules? For
the thing is, he has wheelchair pickleball. It's very much like tennis.
2 bounces.
I've seen it at Wimbledon. They get 2 bounces.
Right. Okay.
But he mentioned, actually, it was interesting that it could be a hybrid sport where you have wheelchair and an able-bodied.
Right, okay.
And I was a bit nervous. Anyway, his shots were great. And you don't even notice after a while. Yes, it's 2 bounces.
Yeah.
But his shots were really good.
Well, how does that work with you playing with him then? Because you get 2 bounces.
No.
So it's only when
the ball
him.
Comes to him. So he plays as if it's doubles wheelchair.
Right, okay.
And you play as if it's...
That's his normal.
Normal, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So it was really interesting, and I'm glad I had the experience.
And is he allowed to take the shot after 1 bounce as well? Or does it have to have 2 bounces?
He can have up to 2 bounces.
Right, okay.
And we had a good game, and it was a close game.
Brilliant.
You know, we're not stupid. We're not going to be lobbing and everything.
Yeah.
But as a game itself, I was very much going into it thinking, what's going to happen here? And it was really, it was a close game. It was a great game.
Brilliant.
And he's got great shots. And that second bounce provides so much ability to be able to keep the point going.
Right.
And you don't skip a beat in the game. It was really good.
Okay, that's interesting. So if anybody knows anybody, as we said earlier, then get involved. Send us a message. We'll put you in touch with Terry. And
And again, if you've got any questions, we will be speaking. We'll get him on at the Nationals.
Yeah.
We'll do an interview.
We will.
So
we will.
Yeah. So I just wanted to push that.
Absolutely.
And
go on. Go on. Have you rant about Duper?
No, it was just something that came up. We played against a really, really top player. You know, I mean, we had some great games, and I really felt like my game was improving until, you know, as usual, I play a player who's much above my ability, and then I go to pieces. But it turned out his duper was 3.6.
Actually, I think it was less than that.
Yeah,
I think it was 3.4.
So it just,
but he's obviously a 4.0.
To be honest,
player.
it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not having a go at duper. I think the fact that obviously he doesn't play in events that much, and that's where duper might be a really good system in America where you're playing all the time.
Yeah.
Just doesn't work in this country.
Not yet.
I wish we'd ditch it and just.
But the more tournaments we play and the more we get involved, then obviously the more accurate it will be.
Yeah,
so.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So speaking of the English nationals,
yes, it's coming up very quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
And we've really
we've
really done some hardcore practicing, haven't we? Not?
We have. Well, no, since the last time it was just the two of us. The week before, we had actually done. We went through our drilling session, didn't we?
Yeah, the one.
Can you remember that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
it was really good.
Yeah, it was good.
We set aside so many times we've gone for drilling and just played, but it was just the two of us.
Yeah, and we did drill,
and it was knackering.
Told you. You said I don't need a drink. I don't need to bring water with. I said bring a water. You're going to need it, and it was good. The problem is,
well, how long
we
ago
haven't
was
really
that?
we haven't really done much since.
No. I don't know, and then so we're going to do another session today.
Yeah,
but it's good. I everything is a bonus, and we're now, if we're doing 2 within a month, it's 2 more than we've done previously.
True, and it just, drilling is the key. Drilling,
it is, because when I came away from the festival, apart from saying I'm quitting, it makes you realise when you play those top players what you have to work on.
Yeah.
And so we will work on that today, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be good. And for people out there, if you can get the extra night to drill, it's so beneficial to your game, because when you play in a game in rec play, you're lucky if you get one shot in that sort of the shot that you want to practice.
You're still struggling, aren't you?
Yeah.
With the Tuesday night rec play.
I struggle on Tuesday nights, because when you're running as well, when you run the night, and I'm looking at my watch for the timer. And
did you do it all? Because I wasn't there this week.
And I can't settle in on a Tuesday night. Listen, it is what it is, and it's great, and I can practice some shots now, and that's what I use it for.
Is it still on your mind, having come back from America? You're there thinking
that I want to be back in America,
that you're missing out, or you just moved on now?
No, I feel like I still feel that if I played in America for 6 months, my game would be so much better. I feel like I'm suffering in the North at the moment with my game for the lack of better players.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. I'm playing the same people every week on a Tuesday night and maybe another night, but it's the same people. And you get, when you're playing the same people and they're at the similar level, and it becomes...
you told me you pickle someone, but it was like, so what?
Yeah, it's just another game.
It means that you're not playing the level that you
because I know, I can play at a better level, but I'm not getting those better level games, and it's really frustrating. I don't know what to do about it, because
I'll be there next.
It's all right saying travel, go to different, but there's only so much traveling you can do, and I shouldn't have to travel. And I have noticed there are a lot of players coming in now that are really good. They're getting there, but they're still not there yet.
Right.
Whereas if you go down,
so you say we're seeing our players improve,
but we're not at the level that you need to be competing at that higher level. So we're struggling at the moment in the North, I think. So help me. Help me.
Having said that, the Nationals are in the North. They're in Bolton, quite close to us, and
people are travelling for the Nationals though.
Immediately, we signed up on day 1, and they've had to extend it to 4 days.
Yeah.
And actually, it might have already been 4 days, but they've had to lose other events because over 1,000 entries already.
Yeah.
And
they've got rid of singles, haven't they?
They've got rid of singles, yeah.
I think they'll maybe do it at a later date.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
There was a big team event on the Thursday, and that's fine. It's amazing that it sells out that quickly. Well, it's not sold out. What I was going to say is that, look, I think when this comes out, there'll be a couple of days left for registrations. And if you're not registered, if you're thinking about it, you're not sure, there are still places left. but do it quickly and get there. And if you're a new player and you feel like you're not up to it, just do it. The skill levels, you go in at 3.0, you might only have to play a couple of 4.0s in it.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys from my David Lloyd session who have never entered a competition before, who are entering,
okay, that's
and they're
good.
going in, so that's really good.
Yeah,
and it's a great competition. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm excited about
yeah.
it.
So if you're not sure, there's still some spaces left, but again, to have over 1,000,
yeah, it's incredible.
It really is unbelievable.
And we are getting there, but it's we've got to be patient, I think, which we're not.
I mean, on the positive side, we've seen news of there's a movie coming out, isn't there?
There is a movie, yeah, with Ben Stiller, the pickleball movie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it's about.
I don't know if you've ever seen Dodgeball.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, it was cute. It was quite funny. So it's going to be on. I assume it's going to be on the basis of that. But it's either going to be very embarrassing as a movie, or it might put pickleball on the map all over.
If it's got pickleball in it, it can only be good.
Yeah.
It's a good advertisement. Speaking of which, I saw something this morning which is interesting about tennis.
Oh yeah,
they've created a new game.
Tennis, I've never heard of it.
Called Red Ball to compete with pickleball.
Oh.
So, in an attempt to compete with pickleball, the US Tennis Association is promoting its own short court version of tennis called Red Ball, played on a pickleball-sized court with a deflated tennis ball. Interesting. What do you think about that?
I think it's flattering that they feel, but in America they do feel a threat from pickleball.
So, a new game, Red Ball.
Yeah, I might take that up.
So you've got paddle, you've got Red Ball, and you've got pickleball. All these racket sports must be good.
Yeah. Right. So we've talked about the Gen 3. Do you want to get your new paddles out? Let's discuss those.
So I've got 3 new paddles here, which I haven't used any of them yet, which I'm excited about. The first one is the new Selkirk Invicta Pro. I've got it in the Vanguard shape.
I've seen this. This has come out in 2 shapes.
Yeah, so it's the Vanguard. It's the Invicta, and I think they do it in an S2 or an Epic.
It's an Epic.
Is it an Epic?
Yeah.
It's got this 4-layered carbon fiber on it. It looks beautiful, and it's the right shape for me. And it's a 16 mil. So I was saying before how I'm using the Power Air, which is a lot thinner.
It's 16 mil, but it looks 26 mil.
It looks thick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But is that because you're used to seeing me with a thinner
Maybe, and the edge guard as well.
So I'm going to give this one a go, hopefully today in our training session.
Have a feel of that.
Have a feel of that. It feels beautiful. And then I've got the next 2 that I've got is the new Halo. Now, this is the one that Tracy uses. She'll be interested in.
It's a really popular paddle. I've seen a lot of it around.
Yeah, but this has got Kevlar in it as well. So this is the new Halo Pro. This is a 14 millimeter. So you can see.
And that's a cheaper
thinner
price point, isn't it?
Slightly thinner?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you can get all the specs on Selkirk.
Yeah,
I'm not going over the specs.
Well, we'll do full reviews of all of these
so
if you haven't sold them before then.
Oh, no, I won't be selling these. These are beautiful. And also, this is the other one, which is also the Halo, but this is in a 14 mil again, but an XL it's called. So you get a longer handle.
Yeah,
so
but
you can see that.
It looks, let me feel the weight of those. I mean, they all feel quite light.
Yeah, they do. They're all mid-weight paddles. They're really exciting.
But this is a really small head. This is going to be interesting. I'm not sure you're going to like this.
That's not really my kind of paddle. Yeah. The handle's too long. I don't use really.
I think when I get the opportunity,
it's great for a 2-handed backhand.
I do want to try again with these Kevlars because I don't think we really gave them a chance.
Well, the Ruby one is still quite popular.
The 6-0 Ruby. I think I'm going to get my hands on that as well.
You should get the 14 mil.
I see a lot of them.
The 14 mil you want in that.
Yeah, I think at the moment I'm struggling from having too many paddles. We had all the diadems. And I think, unfortunately, my 6-0 triple black diamond, which is now sold out.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gone by the wayside, and I'm not using paddles not because I don't want to use them anymore.
Yeah.
But just because there's so many new ones coming out.
I think the important thing is, for me now is to find the one that I want to use in the nationals and stick with it. So I'm going to have to very quickly in the next week pick a paddle and use it consistently.
Okay, so
because it's important that you're used to that paddle. Now, obviously, I might decide to use a different one on the day because once I play with those balls, on a different
Well,
course.
we might have a practice again.
Yeah,
beforehand,
hopefully
which
we
will
will.
be very helpful.
But it's funny because obviously, depending on that, I might change my paddle, but we'll see.
Okay, so I was going to come on to Coach Robert's tip. However,
Okay.
I think we've often talked about your paddle confusion. And I think at the moment, I've got paddle confusion.
Yeah.
I'm changing my paddle. I realise that if I'm not playing well, no paddle's going to change that.
Yeah.
And that's also a problem. But I've now become a mini version of you where I'm changing paddles and I'm looking at the paddle and I do a bad shot and I'm becoming confused now.
Well, the thing is with me, and I know exactly where I'm at now.
Can you help me
with my game?
And can you give advice to people who have got a bit of paddle confusion?
Yeah, I mean, I get asked a lot because I do let people try paddles, and they love that because they don't really get to do it unless you're at a festival or a competition. Yeah. You don't really get to try paddles. So people at the club, they love me because I bring loads of different paddles. They can try whatever they want.
That's the only reason they love you.
But the beauty is trying different paddles is the only way to find the paddle that suits you. Now,
but you don't know. When I try a new paddle, I've been using my go-to paddle at the moment is the Yola Colin Johns.
Yeah.
Now I love it, but then when I'm having a bad game or I can't get in a groove, I'll change the paddle and then that won't do anything. And then I'll change
it's not
again.
The paddle, it's you.
So how do you know? How do I know? How does anybody out there know what paddle to use? Or are we unique that we're using so many different paddles that it's causing our own problems?
I think we're in a...
Does it get in our heads?
We're in a very lucky position
Does the paddle confusion make us make the wrong shots in some kind of indirect way?
Right, okay. So listen, number one, we are in a very lucky position because we can use different paddles. Is it affecting us? Yes, it is, because we have to demo paddles because we review them.
Yeah.
Yes, it's affecting us because we really should stick with the one paddle that we like and play with that paddle.
But what happens when you like more, like the Gamma Obsidian? That's a 14 mil.
Yes.
When I used it at the festival, because we know now that different balls, different surfaces.
Okay, so affect. Here you go. I was with somebody.
I felt nothing from it, and I love that paddle.
I was with somebody. They said, "Can you bring me some paddles? I want to buy a new paddle. I'd like to try." So I went for an hour with them.
Okay.
I brought a bag full of paddles. And we went through some drills together. And she used 3 or 4. And I said, right, okay, now narrow it down to the ones that you felt you liked. You felt better.
And how long are you using each one for before you narrow it down?
We were doing about 10 minutes with the paddle.
Okay.
We ended up narrowing it down to 2 paddles that she really liked. So then what I thought was, I will decide how I think she's playing with these paddles rather than her. And I said to her, look, your power has increased with that paddle, your control has increased with this one, your spin's good, your shots are better, you seem more comfortable with this. And we worked out a process of elimination and we got to the paddle and now she loves it and she plays with that paddle. So what I'm trying to get to here is it's not a quick thing with the paddle. We're not lucky enough to be able to have 2 weeks with the paddle. We are. But people who are buying a paddle, a lot of people just buy them and they don't even know, and then they stick with that paddle because they bought it.
Yeah.
I think we think about it too much, and I think most people who have a paddle, they buy it online or they buy it from the shop. They've not even tried it. They'll stick with that paddle, and then that's it. So the answer is really, if you're lucky enough to try a paddle, then that's great because you can get a feel for it. Now, I always also say that you've got to want to get that paddle out of your bag. You've got to be excited to get that paddle out.
But I have been excited.
I'm excited to get my paddle out. The looks of a paddle is 90% for me. It's like buying a cake. You buy with your eyes. The taste, it's afterwards. But you're buying the cake because you look at it and it's beautiful. Same for me with the paddle.
So when you get a paddle you like, you sort of like...
I'm like, this looks nice. Yeah. This looks nice. I know what I like in a paddle. I mean, for example, look at that. I mean, that to me is beautiful. Yeah. It looks stunning. Yeah. I'm going to be happy to get that out of my bag. That's the first thing.
But then you play the first shot and it goes flying out.
Yeah, and
then that's when the confusion starts.
No, because most people will play with a paddle for a good few games if they can. And it's just personal preference. A lot of people know if they like an elongated paddle, if they like a wider bodied paddle, if they like a longer handle. I think...
See, I've got both because I want to be prepared for all circumstances and all surfaces. But I think now I've gone completely the opposite way, and now I'm confused. And when you just say I've got to decide on a paddle for the nationals, I'm thinking I have no idea where to go.
You need to, I know which paddles you play better with.
Okay.
I already know that, which I'll tell you after. But for beginners coming into the sport,
is it a secret?
No, it's not a secret. But for beginners who are coming into the sport, you go for a wider body paddle, the more forgiving paddles.
Yeah. When I think back to when I bought my first paddle, if I was buying it now, there's 10 times the amount of paddles.
Exactly. Get good advice from people. If anyone wants any help with paddles, obviously send us a message. I can help. I can advise you. I do it all the time. Also, the UK Pickleball Shop. But the UK Pickleball Shop as well. Give them a call.
Yeah.
They will talk you through paddles. All these companies.
I have to say, I bought my first one through them.
Yeah, me too.
And they were amazing.
Me too.
And it doesn't matter if you're on the phone for an hour; they'll give you.
They'll advise you. Different paddles suit different people. That's all I can say on that.
Yeah.
Now, if you want a coaching tip, I can give you Robert's coaching tip of the week.
Okay.
Which is very important, this tip. And it's for everybody. And it's about when you are receiving. So let's say me and Andy are playing together. Andy's at the net and I'm receiving the serve. You need to hit your return not only deep, and it doesn't actually have to be deep. It has to be a return that gives you enough time to get up to the kitchen line. This is very important because once you are there and I'm up at the kitchen with Andy, we are in a 70-30% chance of winning that point.
So you want to be up at the kitchen by the time that ball comes back to you?
Correct. We are very dominant when we're at the kitchen, and everybody is more dominant when they're both at the kitchen. So my advice would be get it deep if you can, even if you have to hit a high return.
Okay.
If it's a lob return.
I guess it depends what level you're at.
Give yourself that time to get up to the kitchen. Now, not everybody can get there that quick. And this is why I'm saying sometimes, hit a high return because it gives you more time because not everyone can move as quick. Get up to the kitchen line with your partner. You'll have a lot better chance of winning that point.
Okay.
So that's my tip of the week.
Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. We started out in a bad mood and it got better.
It got better.
That's what pickleball does.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to say we mentioned that next week we're going to have Karen back on. She's going to it's going to be a debrief of the third most populated tournament in the world.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll talk about the future,
what's coming up, and
and the LTA. Yeah. So if you've got any questions for Karen, send them to us this week, and
we'll try and get them to
before Wednesday.
Yeah,
and we'll try and read them out.
Thanks for listening, and we are sponsored by the UK Pickleball Shop. As I say, those guys over there are fantastic. If you need any help with paddles, give them a shout. I'm always happy to send us a message. I'm happy to advise.
And we've still got the discount code. It's still active, so you can get 10%. Is it 10% or 5%?
I think it's 10%.
It's a discount.
It's a
5
discount.
or 10%.
It's a discount.
It might be 10%. So if you're looking for a paddle, go to the UK Pickleball Shop.
Yeah.
And don't forget, rate, review, share.
Yeah.
Tell all your friends.
We're on Instagram, EBTKD.
Yeah.
Podcast.
We're on YouTube now.
Yeah.
We were on TikTok.
You can watch me sneezing now on YouTube.
And we'll be back on TikTok.
Yeah.
So you can see our delight. My new hat. Sorry, I was pickling.
Yeah.
Love this.
Like that. So you'll be able to see the paddles I'm talking about on YouTube as well. So good. Thanks for listening.
Have a great week.
Take care.